everyone, welcome aboard. A new chapter, a new edition. Yes, it's very different from the racetracks. Between the race days, we thought we relax and bring some stories, some chat, some conversation, some insights into the world of the riders and their little known world. So here we are. Welcome to my podcast, the DSBK Motopods, the first of its kind in the world. And today with us is one of my favorite rider and a champion rider, Saska Tutaro, the Italian man behind the race machine. Welcome aboard, Saska. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Being part of this moto pod for the first time, so I'm really feeling great, and thank you so much for having me.
We are middle of April, and the weather is so nice and so beautiful, isn't it? So how are you feeling today?
Yeah, I feel great. It's still good weather. It's holding in the right way. It's fresh and at evening, so it's still good for where we are now in Dubai.
Okay, Saska, let's go back in time just a little bit and would love to hear from you about your early childhood. Precisely from where and when did this race bug bit you?
So yes, I was very young and I was born in Pisa in Italy. So my mother used to take me for walks, and we bumped into this park where they had these electric bicycles, like three-wheelers, many years ago in the 70s. So that's when I started liking the motorbikes. I remember I used to say moto to my mother every time we used to go out in the afternoon because I wanted to go and see these little bikes.
You mean to say when our mom, they say kid is saying moto, that means he's a motorbiker.
Yeah. Yes, I guess so. That's what, yeah. Right. That's she understood and she got worried straight away.
Okay. If you would have liked car, then what would you have said? What kid would have said?
Yeah, I would have said in Italian, macchina, like that.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah. You're still racing.
Yeah, I haven't stopped since then. It actually got to me really in a positive way. When I moved to Africa.
Okay, Africa.
Yeah, South Africa. And we started doing racing in Botswana. And in those days, they had racing in the desert. It was called the Desert Challenge. So my first race was with a CR125 Honda. And we entered this race. I didn't know what to expect because I never raced before.
How old were you then?
I was already like around 14 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Yes, 14 years old, 13, 14 years old. And I remember, my father was more into looking at watching Formula One, okay. But he was not very big on bikes. And my mother was so scared of motorcycles. So what happened is when I went to the first race, I couldn't wait. I was super excited. I was practicing every day, like just after school around the area of my house. I didn't know about, any sort of racing in Botswana. It was an enduro race. So it was not a motocross race. And
it was an endurance race?
Yes, endurance race. Yes. Okay. So we had to do loops. The first race was 25 kilometer loops, 2 of them we had to do. So I, obviously, when you're that young, you don't really feel being tired. But I presented myself on the first race with the gear, as in I had the pants, okay. I had the jersey, I had the helmet and goggles, but I didn't have gloves, and I had the sneakers. Okay. So the guys were looking at me thinking, who's this little crazy guy coming to race that? Yeah. And I couldn't do anything. So
what was the reason?
No, it's just because, like I had mentioned, in those days in Botswana, there was not many shops that were selling gear, so you had to buy it in South Africa. Okay. But us not knowing, as in my father and my mother, my mother was against it, so she didn't even come to see me the first race.
You were allowed to race on that particular race?
Yeah, you were allowed because they had just open class. In those days, they were not as strict as now with all the
It was not FIM race kind of.
No. It was just a national race, okay. Because nowadays it's called the Desert Challenge 500 or something like that. It still carries on that race. But so anyway, I learned the hard way because someone actually lent me a pair of gloves, but they were like working gloves. So they were not racing gloves. Yeah, the labor gloves.
The car garages or something.
Yes, exactly. So I started the race and they told me, just do the loops 2 times. So I went for it. And it was very hard because it was sand, and riding on sand with a motocross bike, it's not easy.
Not easy, definitely not easy.
So I learned, but I learned very quickly. I just kept the throttle full, and I was like in fifth gear, and just like riding as fast as I could. And it was
What was
fun.
the result at that time?
Yeah, the result was a great result. I came first in my category. So I won the first race on the first race of my life.
So for my curiosity's sake, Saska, when did this thrill turn into a professional league?
So it turned into professional literally the same day as I did the first race, because it was like a whole championship. So we had another 4 races to do. So my father actually was there to see this, if I was going to actually like it or not. I did get a lot of thorns in my arms because in Botswana they have thorn trees, like it's a full bush. So I did really get a lot of...
You said you had a jersey, isn't it?
Yeah, I had a jersey, but I mean, motocross jerseys are just like literally a t-shirt. And in those days, we didn't even have like protectors or anything. And there were some protectors at the time, but I just didn't have.
Your dad was watching the race or?
Yes, he was watching, but they could only literally watch us from the start-finish line because it's a 25-kilometer loop.
Okay. Was your family very receptive about the idea of pro bike racing?
Yeah, my father was okay. My father is completely opposite from my mom. So he was very happy about it.
Okay. Was he raced before, your father?
No, my dad never raced before. Yeah, in the car, he did a couple of races in the desert, in Botswana at the same time. He did some rally racing like that, but it was just for fun, not professional.
But it was there in him.
Yeah. It was there in him. He liked the fact that I would do something professionally. So that was literally what I did. I carried on racing after that, yeah.
How did you deal with all that stress and battles with these conflicts?
Look, to tell you the truth, it was mainly trying to handle my mother to wanting me to carry on because my mother was like so scared and worried all the time, and so yeah.
That's our mothers, like
yes,
they
exactly.
they want to say. I remember, like one of my race days, one of my colleague, the fellow racer, his mother used to come. And he never used to watch the race. He was just sitting in the corner. He said, "This lap is over. Is Surya back?" I said, "The mother is always there."
Yes, of course. The mothers are there to look after their kids.
Right.
So
how was your wife dealing with the idea of pro bike? Are they now very settled with the idea?
Yes, they do. They are, because my wife actually raced herself in her country.
Oh, your mother?
Yeah. No, not my mother. Okay. Sorry, I thought you said my wife.
No,
That's
your
why
wife. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife is an ex-racer. She did a few races for 2 years.
Where is she from?
She's from Madagascar.
Madagascar.
Yeah, and
okay.
Yes.
After a long time, I'm hearing this name.
Yeah,
Madagascar.
Yeah, everyone knows Madagascar for the movie, for the cartoons, but it's actually a beautiful country to visit.
I'm sure. Yes.
And
it's close to Mauritius, isn't it?
Yes, it is very close. It's 1 hour flight from Mauritius. Yes,
1 hour only.
Yes.
Okay.
So she backs me up, obviously.
It's almost like, I think Madagascar is same like our Indian Kerala.
Yes,
it's a coastal area, a lot of coconut trees and all those things.
Beautiful. Yeah? Yes, beautiful nature and everything. Yes, very nice. So she does. She did back me up, and she's still backing me up, obviously, because she actually won some races there. So she took it very seriously. But they were doing races up the mountains, like very dangerous things because they don't have a circuit there.
So Saska, how is the journey have been to date?
Yeah. No, it's amazing. I mean, I cannot complain. I went from, it was always my dreams to either race motocross bikes and later on it was road bikes, because I believe that when you're younger...
You started from directly from Superbike? You said when you were young, 14 years, you had a motocross bike.
Yes,
you raced in motocross, but you continued with the motocross, or how did you shifted from motocross to the superbiking?
So I carried on with motocross until I was in high school. And then I stopped for a while because of we moved from South Africa. We went back to Italy. And that's when it started biting me.
Basically, you're Italian.
Yes, I'm Italian.
And you lived in South Africa for some time?
Yes, for half my life,
okay.
literally.
Is
so
it?
I can consider myself, that's why I have the flag on my leathers, because I've
you love
lived half
South
my
Africa
life
still.
in South Africa.
Okay. Your young days, those good days.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm Italian, but I also feel that South Africa is also part of my life. So it's like another country of my lifestyle, of my life. So I really, really loved it. And then that's why, that's where I carried on doing motocross. And then later on, when I did move to Italy, it was just after the army. I had to do the army in Italy. Yes, just after the army, the one night I was coming out the paratroopers base, and I saw a Ducati Monster. And I never seen such a bike because I was not interested in road bikes. And when I saw this bike, I was like, wow, what is this? You know, it was a different bike. You know, it was like a...
even if the F1 car was passing by, but you're a motorbiker. So you wouldn't have cared for the F1, isn't it?
No.
So you like the bikes.
Yeah, I knew everything about all Formula One because of my father.
Your father, okay.
And I did go and see a few races in Kyalami back in the days in Kyalami.
Who was your favorite in F1?
It was obviously Ayrton Senna. Ayrton Senna was like my favorite. He was my idol. Yes, definitely.
He's my favorite too.
Yeah, and even Ferrari, I was cheering for Ferrari, but Ayrton Senna was like the idol. Yes. I saw my actual first Formula
But
One.
he was the best in person also, I think.
Yes, he was amazing.
I've seen his movie, so
he
looks to be very, very decent,
amazing.
very simple man. And
Amazing man
he's a
and
racer.
driver.
Yeah.
And so the first Formula One I saw was in the 80s, and then the second one was in 94 when I was in South Africa, and then we moved to Italy. So when I saw this Monster, I was very curious because it was not like a proper road. It was a road bike, but it was a naked bike. So it was not a naked bike is a bike without the fairings. So it was not a racing bike. However, I started like looking at this bike and this and that, and eventually I finished the army. I managed to get myself the first bike. So this was my first bike, the Ducati Monster. It was a dark looking bike. So it looked quite...
You mean to say you bought the bike?
Yeah, I bought the bike. I bought the bike
At
after
what
the
age?
army. No, I was already old. I was at 26 years old. I'll explain why.
Bought your bike on your own money?
Yes, that the first time. Yes,
first bike with your own money.
Exactly.
That's great.
And briefly, why I was doing the army late is because I moved from South Africa. I was supposed to do the army in South Africa. I did a little bit of it, and then I moved to Italy, and I still came in within the 26th year. And you had to do the army in those days. It was compulsory. So I have a background of family being in the army and the aeronautics. So I went to the paratroopers to have fun. You know, and that's why I actually only bought myself a bike when I was 26 years old.
Great,
and from there I just moved on into riding in the bike and going with friends that had super bikes at the time. In Italy, it was the bikes there were all super bikes, mainly on the road. The naked bikes were only starting to come out. It was
By then, Rossi was already racing.
Yes, of course. He was like the guy who actually inspired me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And all Italians inspired by
Yeah,
Rossi.
we saw him 1-2-5s, and then it was actually Max Biaggi first that everyone was following
Max Biaggi,
because Max Biaggi came a little bit before Rossi, and then Rossi arrived, but Rossi made the MotoGP now called MotoGP. He made it to be like something else, you know.
Yeah,
he took it to another
definitely.
level.
We all love
Yeah,
Baggi and definitely Rossi. Rossi is even my kids love Rossi. We have a team in our house, like, one son likes Rossi, my wife likes Marquez. So we have fight in the house. When the race, MotoGP starts, my younger one, he's still very young. So he still says, like, I wish Marquez crash. I said, don't say that.
Yeah.
You don't know, when they crash, what happens to them and so and so. He's a Rossi guy. Whatever it is, I want Rossi to win. That's it.
Of course.
So anyhow, great journey, bro. Tell our audience, we love to hear from you more of your childhood stories with your first ever bike and the highs and lows of what is attached to you.
Yes. So the first beautiful experiences I had were obviously with a motocross bike. When I was racing in Botswana, my first race, I'll never forget because I got a first place and I was like super excited. I never even expected it, but it was amazing. And
Any sneakouts in the middle of the night?
Yes, of course, but that was later in high school. Yeah, for sure. That was
So
definitely.
did you get beaten up or something and you got caught?
Yeah, I got caught. In South Africa in those days, it was politically.
You got caught in the sense at the house. I mean to say, dad and mom.
Yeah, no, my dad. I had a different experience with being caught and getting a bit of a hiding from my father. That was when I stole at 9 years old. At 9 years old, I stole the keys from my aunt's car and we went out with my older cousin. And and he made me drive the car and we crashed it. So it was like, it was quite an experience.
You knew by then, how to drive the car?
Yes. I knew at an early age how to drive a car earlier than the bike because,
You started biking at the age of 13. So car was much before means 11, 12?
Yes. My dad used to put me sitting
You're not
on
a good example for any.
Yeah. No, I'm not.
You're not a good father. Definitely. You're a spoiled kid, I think. Yeah?
No, for driving cars, yes. But it's because I loved bikes. And like I said, my father was watching Formula One. So I always wanted to drive, drive something. And then I discovered the bike a little bit bit later, but the bike was like the thing that caught me straight away because it was more exciting.
As they say, like, you always remember your first, very fresh and remains attached deep. And so tell me your best one.
Yeah. The best experiences. I have a lot of experiences that like it was the best feelings that I've had in motorcycle. You know what it's like when we race motorcycles, because you're a racer, and you know that my first beautiful experience was when I first went to Mugello.
Okay.
I raced in Mugello in 2002, the first race. The first race in Mugello, yes. And that was very, very special, although I didn't do so well in the race, but it was just a special place. I mean, I'd watched it on TV, Rossi and all the guys, and I watched the actual championships before I went to race. And the thing that was special for me is that I've always dreamed about doing something with a motorbike, racing. I've always wanted to be a racer and wanted to, before that, I wanted to be Formula One driver, but it was impossible.
This culture, becoming a racer in Italy, it's very simple. I think every kid in India, they wanted to, when they start their schooling career, like in a high school career or something, they wanted to be a cricketer.
Yes.
If you come to Gulf and the African side, they wanted to be a footballer.
Yes.
Like European side,
Yes.
they wanted to become a superbike racer.
A lot of places, yes.
It's a geographical area where it says like, this area is for the cricketers, this area for the footballers, and this area for the racers.
True,
and
true.
I think I born in India. I don't know from where the race came to me, but anyhow, there are a lot of people from the eastern side. They also are racers. But anyhow, it's interesting to hear from you that you never thought of becoming a footballer or a cricketer. It's directly into the superbike racing.
Yes. That was definitely, yes, like you said, that, look, football is also big in Italy, but in Italy, we were lucky to have, a lot of sports that you could choose from. However, the motorcycle racing's always attracted me. The motocross, I was watching obviously Supercross in America, because that's where they used to make shows, like a proper show. However, it was the motorcycle world. Once we started watching Valentino Rossi and Biaggi and these heroes that were in those days were our heroes racing, then I always dreamed, since I was a kid, I always dreamed about it. I always dreamed about it, being there and looking at this bike, thinking, one day I'll probably jump with this bike, And then eventually I got to it very late, because in 2002,
Then 2002, Rossi is already in Moto 2, I think.
It's actually, I watched Rossi when he was in 250, and then he went to 500s, and in 2002 was the first year of MotoGP. So the four stroke. So I saw him with a 500 two-stroke, and then he shifted to the Honda, the V5 Honda that they made for MotoGP. So it was, I went to see the races. It was super exciting.
On a lighter note,
Yes.
for my audience,
Yes.
a lighter note, I want to ask you something very special. When did you ride your first girlfriend to impress her?
That was in the 90s. No, not at all. In the 90s, I had a girlfriend that came with me to Italy, and we rode. Actually, I didn't have the bike at the time, and I asked my uncle to please lend me. He had a Honda CB400, very old bike, like a early 80s bike. And I said to him, please lend me the bike. I want to go for a ride. I have this girlfriend from South Africa.
You're open to it. I mean,
yeah.
To hide and
No.
Okay.
No, and so what happened is we drove from Pisa to Viareggio. It's about 20-kilometer drive. And it started raining. It was a disaster, but it was the first experience. Yeah, exactly. So it was a good experience.
Basically, it helped you.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, in a way, yes. That was the first time, really.
Okay, now you being it's been long time you're racing. I think last 20 years you're racing.
Yes.
Or 25 years.
Yeah,
say
it's
23 years.
Since 2001, I started racing actually beginning of 2002.
So more or less, you're 24 years plus.
Yes.
So you've been racing since long time. So now you have a car, you have experienced the car, and you have experienced the motorbike and everything. Are you still a four-wheeled guy, or you're a two-wheeled guy?
No, I'm a two-wheel guy for sure, 100%. I mean, that's.
If you want to bring some in Dubai, if you want to bring some grocery, will you take a car or you'll take a scooty?
Oh, I've driven a Vespa a lot of times. to go
you
and
have a
get the
Vespa?
scooters. Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
that's
yes.
great.
I used to have it, but not anymore. But I used to drive the scooter for sure because I mean, ride the
Dubai, you
scooter.
mean to say?
Oh, in Dubai, yes, of course. The scooter, and before that, I was riding a Ducati, and before that, an MV to get my groceries because it's so easy. You know, just go down the road, grab a couple of.
reason to ride a bike.
Yeah, of course, of course. It's more exciting.
If
you know?
if you're bringing your girlfriend or wife,
Yeah.
you take your bigger bike, which is super bike.
Yeah.
And if you want to for a grocery, like and just go get some bread,
Yeah.
so you'll go in scooty.
Yeah, if I can, why not? Yes, definitely, definitely. That's because when I first came to Dubai, I didn't actually have a car, so I was using the bike all the time. So
I mean to say you still prefer to go on a bike
Yeah.
rather than the car.
yeah, I do because the bike is just more exciting. You know, it's just even if you go down to the grocery, you just feel free riding a bike, and it's just so much nicer. You know, so I really, really love that, and we have it in our culture in Italy. If you go to Italy, everyone uses a scooter to go and do the small little things like groceries and all these kind of things. And
That's a tradition there, I
yes,
think.
yes,
Yeah.
the cars obviously are beautiful. I love cars. I love sports cars and everything, but definitely if I have to choose, obviously the bike would be my choice.
Now that you are an established rider on the circuit,
Yes.
may I ask you what would have been your alternative profession if not a biking?
Oof, what
Biking is your
yeah,
professional
yeah,
because I know
yes,
you're a
yes,
racer. You've been
yes,
racing
yes.
every championship. You're there. Okay, so if it is not a bike, then what would be your profession other than?
I've always done sports, so obviously I would have loved to have been sports. I mean, now if I had to think about it, definitely a sports guy. But otherwise, I definitely would be either representing a company or have. I would love to really. I haven't done it yet, but I would love to have my own company because I did before with my father. But I've been always a sales guy. I like to speak to people. I like to have.
Almost your life you have sold bike parts, I'm sure.
Yeah, bike parts and bikes and cars. But I've actually done lots of other engineering things because my father had an engineering company for many years. And I've been on sites a lot and construction sites. So I know a lot of things about construction and selling.
Okay, that's cool, Sasha. The audience can't see your life outside the of the race circuit, but would love to hear from the horse's mouth. Okay, like if I ask you, how do you think these pro bikers behave on the streets versus how they are on the racetrack?
So pro bikers normally for like I am and a lot of other guys, we actually if we're riding on the streets, we're riding very easy and relaxed. You know, it should be like that. It should be like that. And I know a lot of the guys that are racing and even guys that are more professional than I am and have more experience. We always try and behave on the road because there's no reason to go and do crazy things on the road.
I think, do you agree with me? Like, the races, what I have learned so far racing my career, like, I would like to race on the racetrack like a race. Okay, on the street, I wanted to be a civilian. Like, I wanted to be safe of myself and my civilian side also. I don't want to hurt anybody showing my tricks on the bike. Do you feel the same thing, like, what I'm feeling?
100% agree with you. The racetrack is made for racing and the bikes off the racetrack are made for having fun. Having fun means going for a ride with your friends and, not do crazy things because the road is not the right place to do and it's super dangerous. It's actually more dangerous on the road than on the racetrack because everyone gets it wrong. They think racetrack is dangerous. Racetrack is made for racing or coaching or doing academy. The actual road is made for just going from A to B and just having some fun, yes. But there's so many obstacles on the road that could, injure you.
We should take care of ourselves, and plus we have to take care of the other fellow riders also.
Of course,
isn't it?
definitely, yes.
So
definitely.
for my audience, like, I'm a racer and he's a racer. I'm racing since 12 years. He's racing since 24 years, double my racing career. But we both share the same mentality, like on the streets, how we have to behave, how we have to ride, and we should be safe. We should safe enough to reach our home to our family, isn't it, Sasha?
Definitely, I agree with you. That's the enjoy on the road, have some fun there, but just ride carefully. And there are rules on the road that you have to respect. So that's what you need to do. And if you want to have fun and go faster and do tricks, whatever, you have to come to the track.
Exactly. That is pretty insightful, Saska. So, are you a cruise rider or a speed rider kind of a person?
On the road, I'm a cruise rider.
Okay.
That doesn't mean I'm riding cruisers, because I'm not that kind of. I like all sorts of bikes. That I understand all sorts of bikes, what their meaning is, but I don't ride cruiser unless, yes, if you want to call like a Ducati Diavol the cruiser, then that kind of cruiser. But I like to just cruise around, enjoy the roads, and have a nice time like that with friends.
Tell our audience, what would you normally ride outside of the race arena?
Yes, like naked bikes, for example.
You ride naked bikes. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't ride a super bikes on the road.
No. The super bikes on the road, I'll tell you why I don't ride it. I used to ride it when I was younger. Because I had a super bike before I started racing.
Ducati, you said?
Yes, a Ducati. Yeah, no, it was actually an 848 Evo.
848, okay.
Yeah, and sorry, not Evo, not the 848. Sorry, mistaken. 748 SP.
748.
That was my
I never
first-
heard of.
Yeah, it was the smaller version of the 916 Ducati.
Oh, okay.
And it was a 1998 748 SP. So it's a beautiful bike. It was like, in those days, those bikes were like so advanced in look wise, and everyone would turn around and look at it, because I was like, what is this? And I didn't know anything about bikes.
Italy, I mean, you all Italians like Italian bikes, or beside Italian bikes, you
No.
loved other bikes also? Because I don't know how many bikes were
Yes.
at that time. Like,
Yes.
if Suzuki and Yamaha, they were there in Italy, or it is...
Italy had more riders riding Japanese bikes in those days, because obviously they were not as expensive. Because Italian bikes are very expensive, and in those days, the first super bikes that Ducati had were obviously they've had super bikes through all the years since they opened the factory, but the more common ones were Japanese bikes. And if we could get our hands on a piece of art that is one of the Ducatis or MV Agusta, then obviously that would be the ultimate,
I think every Italian boy wanted to have an Italian bike.
Yes, most of them, yes,
Isn't
I'd
it?
say, yes.
Okay.
So my most embarrassing, I have a few stories, but I'll tell you the one. So most embarrassing moment of the motorcycle, we were going to Milan to see the Milan show, motor show in the late 90s. And there's two friends of mine and we all went together. The problem was that they had two super bikes. The one had an R1 1998 model, and the other one had a ZX 750. So they were like full super bikes. And I had a naked Monster 600. It only had 50 horsepower.
That was MV Agusta.
No, that was a Ducati. Mine.
Ducati.
So I could only, the top speed was 160. Okay. And these guys kept on telling me, don't worry, you just carry on at 160. We'll just come past you and then stop and, stop on the side of the road, wait for you and carry on like that.
Or coffee by then.
Yeah. So we rode for like 3.5 hours, just continuously like that. But I never stopped. They did. So what happened is when we got to Milan, there's a big toll gates in Milan to pay. And so you have to stop and pay. So they were all waiting for me after the toll gate. So I stopped and paid, and there was 20 toll gates. So I was on the far left-hand side of the toll gates. When I went past, I saw that they were all on the right-hand side waiting for me. There was many bikes because a lot of people in those days, a lot of bikers used to go to watch the motor show. Okay. So what I did is I turned right and I started accelerating. But I realized, because I'd been riding for 3.5 hours at 160, I didn't judge the speed. So I literally arrived at like 50 meters from the riders, and I realized I was too fast. So I braked as much as I could. The bike went all sideways, and I literally crashed into all of them. But thank God it was at a slower speed. But I did break a couple of bikes, and I broke a bit of things off my bike. So it was very embarrassing. And
you were double riding or you were single?
No, I was single. I was single riding. Yeah. So yeah, that was a very embarrassing part of me.
Major injury or something?
No. Just mainly a couple of mirrors here and there, indicators and handlebars. But the problem was that all the guys were so angry with me, thinking, what are you doing? You don't even know how to ride, And I was like, guys, I've been riding at 160 for 3 hours. I don't even know how to misjudge. So that was one of the embarrassing stories. I have many, but this was probably one of the worst. Yeah.
That's so nice to hear. Yeah. Would you want to share with us if you actually remember your first big win on a professional race circuit?
Yes, of course. I do remember, and everyone will be surprised about this, but I've had a lot of smaller wins in other circuits, but obviously they were smaller championships. So I remember my first race on the motocross bike, but my biggest achievement was actually here in UAE. Everyone will be surprised because I did win some other smaller races, but the first like big win for me was here in UAE. Yeah, in the UAE Championship, yes. And our first race, I'll never forget it because I actually remember also when I did my first podium. And that was with you in this BSBK in Bahrain.
BSBK,
yes, because I remember you know very well in those days there were three guys that two of them were very light, so they always used to win because one of them was talented, obviously Al Moini, but I got my first on the last race. I said I'm either going to get on the podium or I'm not going to ever race again because it's enough getting fourth place. Exactly. So eventually I got the third and third and I since then, I don't think I've ever got off the podium since then.
I think on the same Bahrain Superbike racing, we on Dubai circuit, when we had in 2017, I think. Yes. I think 2017, you were first and I was second, and the Kuwaiti guy was third.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes,
I forgot his name, Mahmoud or Osama or somebody.
Yes.
Yeah, even that was my one of the great race. Yeah. So we had a V4 engine at that time.
Yeah. It was in 2018. 2018. Yes, because I just launched a V4, the Panigale V4. Yeah.
That was the first time for me to ride a V4.
Yeah,
and that was amazing.
Yeah, that for me also. You actually reminded me now. It's one of the nicest, not only because I won, but it was mainly because we were riding such a beautiful bike. Remember? It was amazing.
I never had in my life ever ridden that kind of a bike.
Yeah, me neither.
For the first time, every corner, when you are in the second gate, just left, the bike used to go up.
Yeah.
And, something completely different. Something completely different.
Something exceptional.
Something exceptional. I remember, the guy who was riding in front of me. He weighs only 50 kgs or something.
Yes, he does.
His bike was literally shaking.
Yes.
I was scared, I don't know when he flew off from the bike. So I was watching him, I was slowing down myself.
Yeah.
That bike had carried in Dubai, for my pace,
Yes.
I carried around, I think, 320 plus.
Yeah,
I think that bike's, I don't know how much you must have done.
No, it was
I know
crazy
that some
speed.
max is
over 300.
Oh,
Definitely
300,
over 300.
So I think it's between 312 to 316.
Yes,
I remember the straight line.
Yes.
We carried 312 kilometers speed. The bike was shaking like this.
It was a really, really exciting race and exciting bike to ride because that's the first V4 for Ducati. We cannot forget something like that. It was at the time the closest bike to MotoGP because the bike had with the exhausts, it had 234 horsepower, and as a standard bike, it had 214 horsepower. So you can imagine. I mean, we were like, oh my God, what is this?
I'm a Marquez fan.
Yeah.
So when Dovizio, he was racing and I was saying, how can Dovizio overtake this guy? Because the bike, Ducati, on the straight, it goes just like that, it's like Marquez is not doing anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The machine itself is different.
Yeah, it's an amazing bike, and you can see it from all the wins now that they've had in the last years. They've just dominated MotoGP.
It's the time will come. I think that all the manufacturers will say why we should race. Let all Ducati come in.
Yeah, well, I know I've seen in a lot of groups and a lot of blogs. At the end of the day, the guys who work better, they're dominating now, but it's happened like that in Formula One also, same.
As a rider,
yes,
he will definitely feel that the machine, what he's riding is different than what I'm riding.
Of course.
So I don't know how to compensate that, but anyhow, it's their problem.
Yes,
this will go on and on.
Definitely.
So the lucky guys, they will get Ducati, but you never know, Yamaha will come up with some engineering and they will do better next race or something. You never know.
Yeah, I think all the guys actually got closer, so it's just a matter of time. It's only at the beginning of the year, obviously.
Definitely, it's the beginning of the year. Okay, tell me how many countries you have raced so far?
Okay, I've raced in Europe, obviously. Italy, I've raced in France.
Okay.
I've raced in Spain. It was mainly like a smaller race, but in Spain. And then I've raced in Bahrain. I've raced in UAE. I've raced in South Africa, and raced in Botswana.
Qatar, you never raced?
Qatar, no, I've never raced
in Qatar. You did only the track days?
Yeah, no, I went to Qatar, but I never raced in Qatar. I wanted to race last year, but there was no opportunity.
So definitely, we are planning to have a round, one of the round in Qatar.
That would be amazing.
Hopefully, you never know.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Yeah. Now, little bit of pampering for myself now.
Yes.
Tell me, how has been your association with so far with DSBK Middle East Championship? First of its kind?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Look, I must say that thank you to you. You elevated the sport, and it doesn't matter what anyone can say. You have brought to us a championship that has a lot of new, innovation, I would say. I don't know if that's the right word, but you have elevated the sport because
What do you think? What is the different from other races which you raced outside DSBK?
look, I mean, the other organizers did well in their previous years, but you're a passionate racer, so you made sure that we got more than what we had. So you brought more audience. You brought some things for the riders, like just a small thing, but people think it's a small thing, but it's actually a big thing. You brought the organized pits in our championship, and that's not for everyone. It's you brought in a lot of people to come and watch the races. You've advertised it on like media in Kalish Times, for example. A lot of people do they
If you see, like being a racer since so many years,
Yes.
I wanted to see myself on the race grid on the TV and
Yes,
so on and so
yes,
forth,
yes.
which never happened. That I had in my, it is kept inside my heart. I wanted to see myself on the TV, chasing Saska, chasing this guy, that guy, which never happened to me. But
Yes.
but nevertheless, I wanted to give it back to the community.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, fine, let's put some effort to the sport and let's make our heroes legends.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much to you. By the way, there's always a time for you to do a wild card.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
definitely.
sure.
I'll do
I'm
one
sure you're a fast rider. You'll just get on the bike once. You'll
Thank
do
you,
well.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
I'm sure people must have known that I'm not only a host to take this motopods. I'm also a racer. One day, inshallah, I want to race.
You'll
I definitely
definitely-
wanted to race with my old friends like you and a few other.
For sure, you have to enter one of the races at least, just for your passion, because I believe, and I think we always got along, and we since we met each other, we share the same passion. We have a lot of passion for the sport, and that's why you've done so well with the DSBK, and it's been a great championship. We forgot to say that you brought Yas Marina as a first time ever race in Yas Marina in Abu Dhabi, and that's thank you
When
to you.
Put some effort. Anything can happen. Like now, what I'm thinking, it's not only limited to Dubai or Yas Marina. Okay, we are always doing it always raced in Dubai Autodrome.
Yes.
Now for the first time after 15 years, Yas Marina allowed us to race in Yas Marina.
Exactly.
But it's the effort what we have put.
Yes,
Okay, when you
yes.
put an effort, definitely you will get some results, isn't
Definitely,
it? So Yas
definitely.
Marina is done. Next is what?
Yeah.
Next is maybe Bahrain, maybe Qatar, maybe
Yeah,
Kuwait.
that
You
will
never
be-
know. We are on it.
Yeah, it'll be a nice surprise, I'm sure, for all the riders, what you're up to, I know. And thank you again. The SBK has been a great experience, and I couldn't have asked for more than that. And, it's your first year, so everything will be even better next year. So, yes, thank you so
Sure.
much.
Thank you so much for
thank you.
praising. That is great to hear, Saska. This helps me immensely to hear it from the other sides of the sea, a different perspective. Yes, definitely. How old is your kid now?
My kid is almost 2 years old.
Okay.
And yes, I
Allow him to ride bikes.
on the road, no. On the track, yes. Definitely.
Exactly, I'm telling my kids,
Yeah.
on the road, absolutely no.
Yes.
Even if I have 10 bikes or 15 bikes, absolutely not on the road.
no.
There's a big no to the road, but race, even if you want to do the track day or race, I have absolutely no problem
Yes,
because
yes.
I know myself,
Yes.
if I have crashed so many times at the track, I'm still intact and I'm walking.
Yes.
But on the road, you never know. You definitely, even if you fall any smallest accident, you will be in a different position.
Yes.
So I feel like what we are thinking, any kid wanted to become a racer, he should be a racer only, not on the bike for the street. What do you think?
I agree with you completely, and that's the way. If he will be into the sport, I hope so. He will definitely start riding on the track.
Stop him from the racing.
No. If he wants to become a racer, I'll be happy for him that he follows his passion, and he must do it in the right way. And that's starting from small with a mini GP, and then working his way up to the bigger bikes in the track. Not on the road. On the road, yes, if he wants to take a scooter and go down the road to do groceries, maybe I'll allow him. I'll see if he knows how to ride it.
Yes.
But definitely on the track.
On
for
the
sure,
track, yes.
100%.
That's definitely,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Well, I agree to it because we've been racing since so many years and we have seen ups and downs in the races. Okay,
Yes.
we also have a lot of fatalities and we break our bone and we come back. But still, comparatively, like the way we ride on the track, the pace we carry and we slide and we crash and so and so. But still, we get up and go, isn't it?
Of
We get up
course,
and
yeah,
walk.
yeah,
But if it doesn't happen on the road.
Yeah.
But that's so it's safe to ride on the track than the road.
Definitely. On the road, look, I mean, there's been fatalities on the tracks as well. There's been fatalities on the road. But to tell you the truth, on the road, people don't understand that every obstacle on the road is a danger. When I'm saying obstacle is, it can be a curb, it can be a water, it can be a spill from an overflowing tank of diesel or petrol. It can be any person looking at their phones nowadays because they're distracted. So, and also people that get their first bikes, if they have never ridden a big bike and they go at those speeds, you know, the speed that you reach on the big bike nowadays, it's so high that you will not realize how fast you're actually going when you're looking at the road in front, because you shouldn't be looking at the speedo. And the problem is when you're going to take a corner, that's when the problem comes up. You know, if you are going too fast and you don't know how to turn the bike, it's very, very dangerous.
Suddenly, the rider, he'll realize that, you know, I'm not able to control. What he does is first is apply the brake. That's
Yeah.
the mistake everybody does,
yes,
isn't it?
yes,
So
yes.
anyhow, we don't want to promote any road bikers, even if they have a beautiful bike in their house. We prefer all the riders to, even if you have a bestest bike in the world, you come and enjoy that same bike, bring it to the track and ride with us.
Yes, like you said, so if I just may add something, like you've just mentioned, we don't want to say to the people you shouldn't ride on the road. That's not what we want. We're just saying that mainly the super bikers, the guys who have the big bikes, yes, you want to go ride the bike on the road, fine, but you will really enjoy the bike and get the most out of it if you actually join the track and do what you need to do there with the bike.
Okay, Saska, all this discussion, what we have discussed was like kids riding on the street, on the track and so and so. But if you see all these kids, they have to get the license one day, or that is when they're 18. Okay, till then, they have no scope for the biking. If one kid, if your kid or my kid, they have a scope of learning biking and they wanted to be a racer tomorrow, okay, there's no scope here. So what do you think? Is it a good idea to start the academy here?
Definitely. You know, they should start an academy with the smaller bikes because that's the first steps. So literally with the DSBK Academy that you're running, it's the best way how to start off with the motorcycles, because the motorcycles, first of all, are exactly the same as a super bike, but they're just a smaller scale. So it's got slick tires and a lot of other parts on it that makes you ride like a super bike.
Like if you consider this part of the world, I know you're back home in Italy and Europe, like how old the kids they can start riding there?
Yeah, they start very young. They start, we like 6 years old. They start there. Yeah, they start very, very young. Yes, definitely.
Okay, how many cc?
They start from like 50 cc, but and then they go work their way up. But normally on the mini GP, they go around, I'd say around 8 years old. It's the best time because then you've gone through, you're a little bit bigger physically.
Okay.
However, it's not that because of the mini GP is difficult, but 8 years old, I think it's the right age to start.
So here, if this part of the world, what do you think, like, which kind of a age we have to target to teach the kids?
I would say from 8 onwards. I mean, because even if you are a little bit younger and the kid wants to learn on the bike, he can still do it.
So see, we have electric bike, which is 50 cc.
Exactly.
If some kid doesn't know how to, ride the bike on the gear.
Yes.
Okay, so they can start with the electric bike.
Definitely. That's why you have these electric bikes, because that's the best way how to start. And even a smaller kid that knows how to ride a bicycle, because it's the same. They have a front brake, a rear brake, and just an accelerator that can be adjusted to give less power or more power.
So it's a good start to have a mini GP is a good place to start for the kids.
100% it is. 100%.
So we have that platform already in DSBK.
Yes.
Right. As you know,
Yes.
you have coached so many kids now here in the
Yes.
country, and you are comfortable to learn and teach the kids of above 8 years.
Yes.
And it is go till when? I mean, 8 years to how old the person can ride this?
The people can ride mini GPs even at our age, if that's the case. Yeah, because we ride ourselves as well, because we still, when we don't have the time to go on the track with a big bike, we practice on the mini GP. The mini GP is literally a bike that's also used by a lot of other famous people in the world. We were mentioning before Valentino Rossi. In the VR46 Academy, they teach with mini GP, and even Valentino Rossi, Bezzecchi, Pecco Bagnaia, and all of them, they all have mini GP, and they all ride mini GPs in their off days from MotoGP. So it's a bike, it's a little bike that's why they call it mini GP, because it's a bike that anyone can ride. However, like you said, for electric bikes, you can start from 6 years old and then go to the mini GP and learn, because the kids are quick, they learn very quickly. Definitely. So if they don't know how to use the gears, they will be able to use the gears after they got the balance on the electric bike. Then they can definitely go into the mini GP.
It's the right platform for any kid in UAE. They can learn mini GP from us.
Yes, definitely.
Isn't it?
Definitely.
So that's a good idea.
Yes.
Like people, the kids who doesn't have exposure to the big bikes, so they wanted to start riding the bike.
Yes.
And I think mini GP is the right bike to.
Yes, and it's also a good platform to give a sort of an education about how to handle a motorcycle. If you are thinking as a kid, when they grow, they want to buy bigger bikes, you already have a knowledge on how to ride a bike. Because nowadays you get a lot of kids that are buying, 18-year-olds are buying very big bikes, and it's super dangerous because they don't know how to handle such a big bike. So
And
definitely.
according to me, even if somebody wants to buy a bike or they don't want to buy a bike, that's a different situation. If anybody want to learn a bike, at least for they know how to ride a bike.
Yes.
That will not be stayed apart from them, because some people, they learn car, but they never know how to ride a bike. But I think it's education is every single thing. Anytime in the going further in his future, that will come to his life. Like he can swim, he can ride a bike, he can drive, he can do anything. Like these are the things I think one should learn. Every
Definitely.
kid should learn, like biking, car, and all these things.
Of course. No, I definitely think so. And I wish we had that when we were younger. Yes. However, it's so much fun. At the end of the day, once you get on a mini bike, a mini super bike, it's so much fun. Whether it's you, especially for the youngsters, if it's fun for us adults, imagine for a youngster, it's just amazing, So definitely they should start early, and they should include that in their sports. In their sports time, yes, definitely.
Thank you so much, sir. Saska, what's next? Your need is to get some more speed?
Look, I'm happy with what I've achieved so far, but you never want to stop. You always want to get better. So when you're beating your own lap times and you're getting faster and faster, you're always chasing for more speed.
I think that's the reason every time, even the pros, the biking pros, they keep crashing, they keep falling. That means what? Everybody will think, how did Saska crash? Because he's racing since last 20 years. Still, he doesn't know how to ride. Can you please tell me?
It's because at the end of the day, when you are racing and you're reaching, every year, you're improving all the time. Yes, on the improvement. It's an improvement sign, because when you're riding, you're always chasing the limit. And you want to get the faster lap time. So by doing that, when you reach a certain stage of your speed, you have to. It's not that you have to crash, but you can have a little slide here and there because of the chasing the record and chasing the always the speed.
Yes, that means it is not you doesn't know to ride a bike. Public will think, the spectators will think, when you're riding, oh, he crashed. Crash means there are two strategies. One is crash is you're chasing for the more speed. That's why sometimes when you're not doing something which you're trying to do, that's a moment you must have crashed.
Yes.
Or maybe cold tires, or maybe some other reason. It is definitely not that he doesn't know how to ride a bike, isn't it? Are you coming again with the special strategy to wrap the season?
Yeah, my strategy is to win all the last 4 races. Well, the last 2 rounds, and it's 4 races, because in the last two rounds, I had someone else that beat me. Actually, 2 guys that beat me. And
Can you name them?
Yes, of course. It's Manuel and then Yuri.
Manuel Parara.
Yes, Manuel Parra.
He's Italian.
Yes, he's Italian. He's a good friend, and we both come from the same city.
Okay.
And he's very fast, but I need to stop him from winning the last races. So I think in next races he cannot beat me.
I think if you remember last race, when you raced last one, the round 4, which was in February.
Yes.
If you remember, he has beaten you literally. So can you tell me, is he faster, or you claim to be you are faster than him, and now the entire world knows he have actually beaten you.
Yes.
So can you please tell me how it was?
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't normally find excuses, but he knows why I beat him, why he beat me, sorry.
Are you looking for the some story?
No, not at all. But he knows why he beat me easy last time. And I know the next 4 races is not going to be very easy for him.
To say he is not fast enough to catch you. Okay.
When I'm on the day that I know, when I'm on the form that I know, no.
We recorded today, and we'll be showing it in next round.
I'm
next
waiting
episode when Manuel comes for a podcast.
Amazing. I'm waiting for him.
Manuel, you see what he's saying now. We'll definitely run this recording when you are here in the podcast.
I'm waiting for you, Manuel. Okay. And also there's another guy that's also very fast, and that's Yuri. That's his teammate. Right. And I think they made they decided that they want to both beat me all the time.
They make a strategy against it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's 2 against 1, but it's okay. I'm used to these kind of things. Okay. So I'm waiting for you, Yuri, as well. Huh?
But you also remember when we did BSBK.
Yes.
Okay. We were on Ducati 898 and 959 and all these things. I think at that time they were new. I think.
Yes.
They were new. Yuri and
Manuel.
Yeah. So Yes, exactly. I don't want to say anything more because I'm the host. So
yes.
Okay, right. Now next is rapid fire round. This is very interesting.
Okay.
So I have few questions to ask you.
Sure.
Okay. So I'll ask you a few questions. You have only 2 seconds to think.
Okay.
Okay. So make sure you will give a right answer.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Saska, the first question for you, is it cars or SUV or Uber or a bike?
A bike for sure.
Definitely bike.
Definitely.
No second opinion.
No second opinion.
All right, fine, done. Second question to you, is Formula 1 race is thrilling to watch or MotoGP?
MotoGP.
Why?
Because MotoGP is way more interesting.
Because you like it?
No, it's because it's more interesting in the last 20 years has been so much more interesting. Also because the Formula 1s have changed their engines. And the engines, it's all like half electric, turbo. There's no noise. And that the biggest part of the Formula 1 was the big noise of the V10s, V8s, and V12s.
But for me, if you ask me, why if it is not F1, or Formula 1,
yes,
and why the bike, I think in the car, there is no adrenaline rush. It sounds like there are 4 wheels, there is no danger, there is no corners. Okay, it has a good speed. Okay, there's a strategy, definitely. It's a dangerous sport too. But bike is more thrilling, more adrenaline. What do you think?
Definitely.
You're with me?
It's more person involved. So like the rider has to put a lot of his into the bike.
It's not like we are promoting MotoGP.
No.
We are definitely talking about the adrenaline rush.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's more exciting and more.
So definitely, we go with the
I agree,
MotoGP.
Completely.
All right. Third question for you: would you be comfortable your better half racing in a pro league?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Because she's from Madagascar. She have done the racing already.
Yes.
I think you love.
She wants to race. She wants to race.
That's perfect. Okay. The fourth question for you: if you had to pick 3 of your favorite racers from DSBK Championship, who are they?
Okay.
You can't call yourself. Okay, you have to choose next 3.
Yes.
Whichever. I mean, from the modified category and from the stock. You have to pick from stock because you are racing in stock.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say my favorite races are. I cannot nominate the ones I'm competing against. I'm sorry, guys. Next time for you.
Okay.
Munir, Tony, and Shamshir.
Yes, okay. So they are your favorite racers,
if I exclude my competitors, yes.
Okay, definitely, yes. I know they are definitely a newcomers and for them it's very new. And not very new. According to our experience, their experience is less than what is our experience.
Yes.
That means you want to support them to come to the kind of a higher speed and the higher level.
Definitely, but the main reason is because they are so humble. First of all, and that's how you should be when you
still stick on to the humbleness in the racing.
Of course, you have to be. I mean, they've asked me these questions before. Yeah. How do you concentrate and everything? My thing is this, and I think a lot of superbike professionals will agree. The smoother and the more relaxed you are, the faster you are.
Okay.
So that's why I like Munir and Tony. Also, Tony has a different case. Tony is a cool guy to have around in the pits and everything. He's very exciting, but he's super fast as well.
Okay, it doesn't mean that they're slower than you. That's why you're supporting them.
No. It's Shamshid. I really like because he's a very dedicated person, and he's trying his hardest since he started, and he's very dedicated. So I like him for that. Munir is a very humble guy, and he's improved so much through the years because he never thought of racing, but I pushed him to come and race, and he did, and he's doing so many. Every year they're improving. And Tony is because he's very fast. It's just that he's like me. We need to practice a bit more and lose a bit more weight, and we'll both be. He'll be with us.
Sorry to
yes.
If I have to tell you, because I want to come back to the same question.
Yeah.
From the championship, whom do you think, on the super stock, who will be the champion this year?
Unfortunately, not me, because I've already lost 72 points by changing class.
If you're in a stock from the beginning, okay, then definitely.
I of course, I want to win. Obviously, I have to think about me.
After that, second position,
I would have said definitely Manuel and Yuri, because those
they can fight for the second position.
Yes, but there's a new guy that came from India, and he's very fast. He's the young guy. Yes, Moshin. He came last time to race, and I know he's a very fast rider, because even if he's never ridden the smaller bike, the bigger bike now, after he won one race on the second race of the first time he was here, and the second race, I actually did manage to pass him because I started from the pits, but he made it hard for me, and I could see that he has some talent. And I think he's a guy to be careful, to watch out for in the next races and next year, definitely.
Mohsen, so you have some good words from Saska today. Yeah, that's great. So still you say on the championship, then definitely the contenders are Manuel and Yuri.
Yes, Manuel and Yuri, they are the ones that are the fastest at the moment, without speaking about myself. But I think those two are two guys that take it professionally, and they are very quick now. So those are the two guys that are the favorites, yes, definitely.
Okay, that's fantastic. Okay. And your next question, who you wish to beat in every race and why?
I would like to beat Saeed more often, because I only managed to beat him once because he didn't know the track, and that was the only time. But because Saeed is he raced in the World Superbikes, and he's more from Qatar. Yes, he's first of all, he's a great guy, and he's a fun guy to race with, because he's always playing around and joking around. The thing is that he has more experience in very high level racing, and so if I was very close to him many times. This year he was on another level because he's training more, but I would like to beat him more often.
I think he's a full-time racer.
Yes, he's a full-time superbike racer.
I think he trains at least 6 months.
Yes.
Whereas you train only once in a month.
Yeah, maybe. Once in a month.
That too in big bike.
Yes.
Okay, there's a big difference. If the racer wants to continue racing, I think they should be more on the track if they want to be more faster.
Definitely.
The
more you ride, the faster you get.
Definitely.
Yes.
I agree.
Simon would be the other one, because he's also a very fast rider. He races in the BSBK.
Again, he's coming from the same background.
Yes, exactly.
Same racing family.
Exactly.
And his profession is racing.
Yes, definitely.
I think we can't compare those guys to us, because we are professional. We are working. Our profession is different than what they do. Their profession is purely racing, isn't it? So that's a big difference. But I think we can still think for the country, we are in the top.
Of course.
Top 5 at least.
If you take them out and you take whoever came from overseas to race, like a couple of other guys, who's the top in the country? Definitely. Yeah, exactly. We have some records that we still got to beat. Other guys have to beat that we have.
Exactly.
And
I always challenge any Indian. I have done 131.3. Okay.
Exactly.
You beat me. Since then, I'll stop saying that I'm the fastest Indian.
Yeah. You're right. But and you did that a couple of years ago when the tires were not as good as now.
No. Yes.
So definitely. So I say anyone that can go down to 31s, it's a big achievement, and it's very fast. Now we've just gone over the 131, lower than 131. So for a super stock. Nowadays, anyone can say anything, but those are the fastest lap time ever on the Autodrome with Superstock. Then if there were other faster lap times, are only with the two other guys that we mentioned before with the open class. So at the moment, we are getting closer to the 29s. So
I think from the next year onwards, I should stop doing the modified. keep all stock.
Yes.
Because there's no much difference between the stock
true.
and the modified.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
People, they spend so much for the bike
Yes.
and doing their bike and the engine and the maintenance.
Yes.
It's better stop modified
Yeah.
and keep one category which is stock
I agree
category.
completely with
but
you.
I'm still skeptical
Yeah,
about
I
that.
agree.
But let's see how
I
it
agree.
goes. Okay. Very witty question now. Okay. But tell me honestly, bikes or women?
Both.
Can't say that because
Yeah.
you're going to be on air soon and you have to go back home. Still, one more time, bikes or women?
I cannot answer a question like that. I'm Italian, like you said. I love women and bikes.
And bikes. Okay, women and bikes. You're quite opposite to me. All right. And okay, next one. You like to ride or being ridden?
To ride.
Sure.
Yes, sure, 100%.
Okay. You're not still a hangover of the woman. Okay. No. Okay. Real men don't cry, do you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. You're so emotional then.
Yes,
Okay.
I am.
Stop crying now. Okay. What's your favorite lubricant? Bike lubricant.
I'd say Motul.
Okay, Motul, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, I go with it, yeah. That's right, okay. If your bike could talk,
Yes.
what is the one thing it would complain about?
About my weight and my non-exercises.
it?
Yeah, my practice. Yes, for sure. She would
I was
complain and
thinking
tell me.
about bike's weight.
Oh, okay. No,
that's your weight.
She would
Okay.
say, please just get fitter and you'll go faster, easy.
That's a good one. Helmet.
Yes.
Everybody knows, like,
Yes.
the helmet spoils our hairstyle and so and so.
Yes.
So, helmet, fashion statement or crime against humanity?
Oh my God, that's a funny one.
Yeah.
It's
I have that problem.
yeah,
That's why I'm asking you.
I also
Yeah.
have that problem. So it's I'd say it's a fashion statement.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, so you're with me. Okay. Would you rather bike uphill forever or downhill with no brakes?
Yeah, maybe downhill without brakes. huh?
Without brake. You're a racer. I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
we
yeah.
don't like to reuse much of the braking, isn't
No,
it? Yeah.
not at all.
Uphill is impossible. If uphill is not for us.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. What is the weirdest thing you have ever carried on your bike?
The
Other
weirdest
than
thing.
the woman.
The weirdest thing I've ever carried on the bike. It's actually, I have one because it was on the scooter when I used to. Well, it's called scooter, but it was a moped. When I used to go to school, and it was a technical school, so we used to carry these long cylinders with all the drawings in, the technical drawings and it used to like stick on the back of the bike. And I'm sure that was the weirdest thing I've ever carried because people must have thought, "What the hell is that big pole sticking out the bike like that?" You know. So yeah, that I'd say that.
Back home, we used to carry, what is that called? The cows, they eat grass.
Yes.
We
yes.
get it in one bunch of this
The
thing.
hay,
Like,
yes.
my uncle used to ride the bike and I used to carry the grass on.
Yeah.
It's called a haystack. No?
What is that?
Hey.
Hey.
Haystack. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So my uncle used to tell me, like, you should carry this haystack, and he used to ride because we are into a very small town. Everyone knows us.
Yes.
Like, I just used to cover my head like this.
That's a good one.
Okay. So you are at least a bit better than what I was carrying. Okay. How many times you have waved at a stranger thinking they were waving at you?
Quite a few times actually. In the
It
bikes
happens, doesn't it?
especially. Yeah, so many
Especially
times
when
in the
you
bike.
finish your racing and coming back.
Yes.
So they must be waving at Yuri,
Yeah.
and you're thinking they are at you.
Yeah. I'm waiting for you guys.
Soon. I think they're coming for the next episode. All right. What is the most embarrassing things that happened to you at mid ride?
That's
Imagine you're on the race, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Race started.
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
Now you are into embarrassing situation where you can't come back to the pit. That happens to everyone. Almost every racer.
Yeah. It can happen, yes.
It can happen.
yes.
Yeah,
it
so
can
we
happen.
share the same things, I
Yes,
think.
definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely.
It happened with me also many times. Until you have a race start, you will not remember.
Yeah.
You have to go for a pee.
Yeah, exactly.
Suddenly when the red light comes, oh my God, I should have gone.
You think, oh my God, I have to push for 20 laps, so what am I going to do?
I think, oh my God. Okay. If your bike had a theme song, what would it be?
It would be But I like some rock music for riding. It just psychs me up a lot. Yes, yes.
I used to tell my kids, like, I used to be a heavy metal guy. He said, Dad, how you're a heavy metal guy? Because you listen to very old Hindi songs. Like an uncle type songs.
Yeah.
How do you a heavy metal guy? I said, I don't know. Like, in English, I like heavy metal.
Yes,
In
yes.
Hindi,
Yes.
I like the old songs. Very
Okay.
old songs, like, 80s, 70s.
Okay.
Those kind of, I don't know how it is
Amazing.
mix matching. Okay, so you are a Led Zeppelin guy.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, I have a couple of cassettes. The old
Yeah,
ones,
I remember the
80s.
cassettes.
If you want,
yes.
I'll give it to you.
We really old. We better not give it too much away.
But you don't have a recorder to run that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, then next question. Have you been sleepy on wheels ever?
Yes, I have. I have been sleepy on wheels until you actually get it. You realize that you see the red light and you have to start the race. That's for sure. Yes. Because
Is it a kind of a shock? You'll be in shock that you're still looking at the red lights.
Yes.
And you're on throttle, but you're not going. That means your mind is sleeping.
Yes.
Or more alert.
Yes, you need to. That's why I say sleepy sometimes, because you're not. You need to concentrate, because you're probably thinking. It's happened to me a few times, and I'm thinking about too many things about the race, and then you see the red light come up, and you have to immediately stop, cancel everything, and then quickly concentrate. So that's what happens.
Okay, next. Who's your favorite MotoGP racer?
Okay. Obviously, Valentino Rossi was my favorite, but I also have a superbike favorite. That was Troy Bayliss. Yes. Troy Bayliss, 3-time world champion with Ducati in 3 different type of Ducatis.
That's great.
Yes.
And for the present MotoGP, whom do you think who will be a champion this year, 25, 26?
It's quite easy to say. Look, I love Pecco Bagnaia, but Marc Marquez is a race animal, and he's got the best bike this year. Together with Bagnaia, it will be very hard, but it'll be a good race until the end, I think.
Okay, that's fantastic.
I'm Marc Marquez. Manuel is Pecco Bagnaia.
Oh, okay. So you still have a fight. You still have a fight, yeah? Okay, that's fantastic. So we consider you as a Marc Marquez. I wish you all the best for this season.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for coming all the way and being here. You are the first one for the episode. This is the first episode of our DSBK Motopod. So you wish me good luck, and I wish you good luck.
Good luck, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be
Thank
here.
you. Thank you so much, Sasha. And
Thank
before you leave, we have a very nice gift hamper for you. So I'll just present it to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for making it. Thank you. All right, welcome. Thank you.
Well, that brings us to an end of our Motopod show with Saska Totaro. Thank you very much, my beautiful audience. You have been great. Hope you have loved what you have seen and heard from our racer, a peek into their lives and minds. If there is anything you would want to say or hear, do hit the comments. Please share, like, and subscribe with the notification turned on. Until we meet again with another guest, have a good one. See you soon. Have a great day. Thank you.